السلام عليكم ورحمة الله شيخ، كيف حالك؟
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah, how are you? How's everything?
Alhamdulillah, I'm fine. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalam ala Sayyidina wa Habibina Rasulillahi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi at-tayyibin at-tahirin. Illahi ta'ala. Okay, so we are now continuing here.
Bismillah.
Last time we went over the exits of the letters.
No.
And we did not read about the bridge of the nose, which is an exit. But it's not an exit for a letter. Rather, it's an exit for an attribute. So the unique thing about the ghunnah is that it's an attribute with its own exit, which is the nose. There's no letters that come out of the nose. So then one might say, well, why isn't it just its own letter then? Why is it merely the attribute of a letter and it's not a letter if it has its own exit? The answer is because it doesn't come out by itself.
Okay.
It does have its own exit, but it doesn't come out by itself. It comes out with a noon or a meme. So it's an attribute of noon or a meme. And so we'll see. I think everything that I just said is going to come right now.
Inshallah.
So the author says, the bridge of the notes. This is the last exit before we talk about the attributes. And the reason why this was saved for last, we'll see. I think it's all written. The ghunnah is a sweet sound, which is an attribute of the noon and the meme. Yes. So some people, they use nasalization for ghunnah. Which that's fine, I suppose, inshallah ta'ala. The ghunnah is an attribute of the noon or the meme and the meme, whether or not they have a vowel. Whether or not they have a vowel. Yes, this means ghunnah is built into the noon and the meme.
Okay.
That means it's incorporated into the noon and the meme. Being an attribute means that it does not stand alone. Yes, you can't bring it out by itself. Rather, it is built into or incorporated into the noon and the meme, meaning that it is stuck to them, adhering to them. Noon coming from the tongue and meme coming from the lips. In other words, the noon comes from the tongue and the meme comes from the lips. And when pronounced, there is a sound that comes out of the nose along with them.
Yep.
That is the ghunnah. And calling it a sweet sound, that's from some of the books that we have that were used to compile this.
Okay.
And it is said to be the sound of the doe when it once it's fawn. So it makes sound from its nose.
Okay.
Its exit is from the bridge of the nose. Yani, I don't think we need from here. Its exit is the bridge of the nose, khayshum, which is the extent of the nose, the part closest to the forehead. And more details about that will be given, God willing. If one were to squeeze his nostrils while pronouncing the noon or the meme, the ghunnah will not appear. And the difference in sound can be noticed. Yeah, so it means, if you say, without holding my nose, I can say, inna lamma. And while holding my nose, the sound is gone. The bass is gone. Inna lamma. So then that's the ghunnah from the nose there.
Okay.
Therefore, it is associated with the noon and the meme, incorporated into them. Ibn al-Jazariyyah said, وَغُنَّةٌ مَخْرَجُهَا الْخَيْشُومُ. And a ghunnah, its exit is the bridge of the nose. Okay, so there's the ghunnah in terms of exit. By that, we have completed talking about the exits.
Alhamdulillah.
And we have embarked on talking about the attributes. So it's like it overlapped there.
Yeah.
But before going into the attributes, since we're here at the ghunnah, then we want to look at some of the general rules pertaining to ghunnah. So the cases in which the ghunnah is expected. There are several places where it is expected for one to do a ghunnah. The first is the noon and the meme with a shaddah, the doubled noon and the doubled meme. Yani an-noon wal-mushaddada
Yes.
wal-meme wal-mushaddada. They always have an outstanding ghunnah. Outstanding here means it's humming.
Right.
Such as inna lamma. It is stronger in the noon than in the meme. Inna lamma. So that's one case here. The second case is the meme that has a sukoon when falling before a ba.
Yep.
An example is bi. So what happened there? You have yani, meme comes from the lips, and bat comes from the lips, bi. And this meme had a sukoon on it, which enables the meme to set up perfectly for the bat. And so it does so. And when we close our lips for that meme, then we're going to produce a ghunnah. It's going to be a light meme because we want to bring a bat right after it. And we're going to make a ghunnah at that spot. So we say, bi. The third case is the case of hiding the noon sakina. So the third case is the case of hiding the noon sakina, such as man can. So the noon is being hidden, meaning we're not pronouncing the noon, so we're not saying men can.
No.
The noon comes from the front of the tongue, and the kaf comes from the back of the tongue. Men can. We're going to hide this noon and just get the kaf ready. And we're going to make a ghunnah from the nose as evidence for the noon that we are hiding. Men can.
Al-Iqfa, correct?
Ikhfa, yes.
Okay.
And there's only one example here for the case of ikhfa, hiding the noon, because this is not the chapter for hiding the noon here. This is the chapter for the ghunnah. So hiding the noon has its own chapter. We'll see it, inshallah, with all its different letters. The fourth is some cases of merging the noon, such as man yaqul. Man yaqul. The origin is man yaqul. The ghunnah is the attribute of the noon. When we say man yaqul, there's a ghunnah there. This ghunnah is the attribute of the noon, not the ya. And the ghunnah is preserved as evidence for the noon, which is now gone. Man yaqul. So there's a proof for the noon that we are not saying.
Yep.
This noon in this instance got inserted into or merged into or assimilated into the ya. This also happens with the waw, such as min waraihim. Min waraihim. Originally, it is min wara'ihim. What happens here? Man yaqul. So there's a noon originally, man,
Mm-hmm.
and noon has ghunna, even when it has sukoon.
Yep.
That was mentioned. It has ghunna even with sukoon. What's the proof for that? The proof for that is the same thing we mentioned. If you were to hold your nose, you're going to feel the bass drops out. So
Yep.
if you just say, for example, minhu, okay, there's noon here. Izhar, plain noon. But if someone says, bidhu, bass is gone. That's the ghunna that's just incorporated into that noon. Same thing for the meme. And like lam yalid,
Okay, yes.
same thing. Lam yalid.
Mm-hmm.
Holding the nose, stifles that ghunna and just flattens the meme completely.
No.
Therefore, the ghunna is with the noon and the meme, even if they have a sukoon.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that someone learning Tajweed, it's not clear for him.
Mm-hmm.
Because for him, ghunna means like when you say inna lamma, then there's ghunna. But accurately, there's always a ghunna with a noon or a meme. So, okay, the noon is here and has ghunna, man. And then yaqul has a ya, and ya has nothing to do with ghunna.
Mm-hmm.
So why is there something going on here? Man yaqul. Because, and same thing for the wow. What I'm going to say here is true for the ya and the wow. Because ya and wow are soft.
Mm-hmm.
And noon has a ghunna. The ghunna of the noon complements the softness of the ya and the wow.
Right.
So then when you bring this noon with this ya, when you bring them together, or you bring the noon and the wow together,
Mm-hmm.
and then they merge, you keep the ghunna of the noon and blend the noon into the ya, and then it's going to make a nice sound.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ghunna complements the softness of the ya and the wow. So you say, man yaqul min wara'ihim.
Mm-hmm.
The duration of the ghunna is 2 harakas.
Okay.
So this statement here is type of thing is going to confuse someone.
Mm-hmm.
The ghunna is 2 harakas. I thought you said there's a ghunna even if there's a sukoon on the noon or the meme. Yes, it is. So here means a humming ghunna.
Okay.
The duration of a ghunna when it's humming is 2 counts.
Mm-hmm.
2 harakas. And a haraka, is the time it takes to bend a finger or to straighten it. And also, if you're listening to some reciters, some students who want to learn how to recite Quran, this ghunna a lot of times going to be weak. So they might say, for example, inna lamma, and yes, there is ghunna there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not satisfying. It's not satisfactory. This performance here is not satisfactory. No, you need just more strength for the application of the tajweed here,
No.
and to generate that ghunna. Inna lamma. So you're going to tell that person again, bring your ghunna out more. Inna lamma. Imam Ibn Al-Jazariyyah said in At-Tamheed, واحذر إذا أتيت بالغنة أن تمد عليها فذلك قبيح. Beware of coming to the ghunna and extending it, for that is ugly. This means more than 2. So some reciters are going to say, Inna lamma. So that's too much. So one
Sure.
reciter, yes, tell.
Just a question on that point there. Um, I think it was about 2 years ago. So I was speaking to an individual regarding Mujawwid recitations, and he was saying that because I mentioned this point about Ghunna, it should be 2 harakah, and he goes, no, for Mujawwid, because it's slow, that their seconds are made slower, so they can do the Ghunna for 2 counts according to the slowness of the rest of their recitation.
That's true.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. It
Okay,
is.
perfect.
That's going to be 2 counts. That's relative to the speed.
MashaAllah.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
mashallah.
Right.
So that means in that case, when someone's reciting slow, yani, he shouldn't deny it is 2 counts. It is 2 counts.
Yeah.
But it is true that it goes with the speed of the recitation.
Okay, that makes sense. Perfect.
So then he should not go more than 2 counts at that speed.
Yes. Okay.
It is good to make the transition from the exits of the letters to their qualities by ending the section on the exits with the ghunnah, which is what we've done here.
Mm-hmm.
We're still in the chapter on the exits. We went through all the exits till we got to the ghunnah, which is an attribute, not a full-blown letter. Now we want to move to the attributes of the letters.
Mm-hmm.
So then this is the perfect spot to segue into the attributes.
Mm-hmm.
The ghunnah, which is a quality of letters that has its own exit like a letter. So the ghunnah will serve as the bridge from the exits to the qualities.
Mm-hmm.
So now the features of the letters. A feature here means quality, attribute, any word you want to put there. Sometimes I just use different words. I like synonyms. Know that the letters have features, attributes, besides the ghunnah. So ghunnah's done now. We talked about it. It's going to come back somewhere in some places when we get to the noon and the meme, but we covered it as far as the chapter is concerned. Now we have other attributes of letters that we want to cover. The attribute, these features of the letters by which similar letters are distinguished from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, now we have seen these letters in their exits. Where do they come from? We saw that, for example, Qaf and Kaf share a general exit. Jim, Sheen, and Ya share general exit. Ta, Dal, and Ta share. Sin, Sad, and Zay share. And like that. So if they're coming from the same spot, then why they don't sound the same? Because they have different qualities, different features. These features make similar letters different, distinguished from each other. Yani, similar letters, we should say here, close letters. Close letters.
Mm-hmm.
By which close letters are distinguished from each other.
Right.
There are 17 features according to what is famous. One category of features has an opposite, and one category does not have an opposite. The letter features that have opposites are... Now, there's something here. Ismat, which will be explained by the permission of Allah. I just want to see what I have here. Okay. All right, but let's read what we have here, and then we're going to deal with Ismat, inshallah ta'ala.
Inshallah.
When we get to it.
Mm-hmm.
So the letters with features that have opposites are air suppression, jahr. Let's say here instead of, suppressed is not a bad word. Suppress. There's another word recently which is obstruction, air obstruction. So the word detaining here, I'm going to put obstructing.
Yep.
Obstructing the air from exiting while pronouncing the letter. We're choosing the word here, obstruct, because we're saying it's not complete stoppage of the air. And we saw letters Zay and Thal. Those are examples. Air expulsion, hams, releasing the air while pronouncing the letter. So here, there is no obstruction for the air. strength. Shiddah. And the opposite of strength is, look here, number 4, gentleness and intermediateness. So number 3 here, strength, has 2 opposites that are counted as 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's a point also for someone who's studying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, subhanallah wa bihamdi. Tongue elevation. So all we're doing now is just listing them, and then we're going to see. Tongue elevation, isti'la. So means the tongue goes up. And its opposite is tongue depression, istifal. For the tongue to stay low. Then sticking the tongue to the upper jaw, itbaq. So itbaq means something to the effect of linguistically. Oh, let me look here. Let's look really quick in this dictionary. Al-Misbah al-Munir. Itbaq, then the root letters of itbaq are going to be ta, ba, qaf. Ta, ba. Tabaq. وأصل طبق الشيء على مقدار الشيء. Okay. So, yeah. So tabaq basically means something like level. A level. Like you had 2 floors or 3 floors for your house. So each one is a tabaq or a tabaqah. And according to what he's saying here, has the meaning of something that is of the same measure of what it's coming upon. So it's like same size. Okay. The second layer is like same size as first layer, for example. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a second. It's going to get into the recording.
Inshallah.
I live by the road, mashallah.
Inshallah.
By the expressway.
MashaAllah. Have you always been in America, Sheikh?
Yes. MashaAllah. Okay. So he says here, the tabaq is one of the commodities of the house. Its plural is atbaq or plibaq. And the original meaning of tabaq is a thing that has the same measure الشيء على مقدار الشيء. Something that is having the same measure as another thing. مطبقا له من جميع جوانبه كالغطاء له. And it is covering it from all sides like a cover. ومنه يقال أطبقوا على الأمر بالألف إذا اجتمعوا عليه متوافقين غير متخالفين وأطبقت عليه الحمى فهي مطبقة بالكسر على الباب وأطبق عليه الجنون فهو سبحان الله مطبق أيضا والعامة تفتح الباء على معنى أطبق الله عليه أدامها بسم الله وعلى هذا فالأصل مطبق عليه فحذفت الصلة. There's a lot of talk here. طبق الأرض. Okay. So he has a lot of talk there. The point that we want to take away here is that the tongue is like it's like a level. Basically, when we're talking about itbaq, what we have the palate, the roof of the mouth, and we have the tongue too. So that's the leveling there. We'll see you, inshallah. Mouth expansion. Infitah. So you're going to be opening your mouth. The insides of your mouth are moving away from each other. Being on the edge of the exit, idlaq, and a lot of these here are not an attempt. I did not attempt to translate everything in one word. So although there's one word here in Arabic, idlaq, infitah, itbaq, for example, but I didn't find it easy to express the tajweed meaning in merely translating these words by some verbatim translation. So what I did was, the scholars use the word in their books, in their Arabic books, and then they say, it means such and such. So that meaning, whatever they said, that's what I put there.
Right, makes
and
sense.
Just put the word.
Right.
And ismat, which will be explained by the permission of Allah. Okay, so we're going to see there. Okay, hence their total is 10. 5 attributes are mentioned and their opposites, but take note that one of them has 2 opposites that were counted as 1.
Okay.
Or are you going to get confused there? As for those features that do not have opposites, there's something though here. Strength. What is strength here? Strength means here stops the sound. Stops the sound. Excuse me. Air suppression obstructs the air. Air expulsion does not obstruct the air. Strength stops the sound.
Okay.
I can say Rabbi, Rabbi. So ba is strong letter, stops the sound.
Right.
The gentleness does not stop the sound, and the intermediateness also does not stop the sound. So that's why they're opposites of strength. But these two are not the same themselves, though.
Okay.
In terms of their strength. So the intermediateness is a little bit stronger than gentleness.
Right.
When we say it doesn't stop the sound, it means, for example, like if I say, am lahum, so on the meme here, am lahum, there's sukoon on this meme, but there's still a sound with that sukoon.
Yep.
So then that's a lack of strength. The fact that there's a sound, the sound does not stop with that meme there while the sukoon is on that meme, indicates the length, the lack of strength in the letter. All right. So now, as for the features that do not have opposites, they are whistling, safir, qalqala, which there's no translation here. Qalqala is some sort of commotion. Is ittirab. Qalqala is ittirab. So ittirab is clashing, crashing, like that. Collision. Softness. Lean. Air diversion, inhiraf, means the air goes around the tongue.
Right.
Rolling, which is repetition, that's takrir. Should be there. Spreading. Tafashi, that's for the sheen. And some scholars said also more than sheen.
Okay.
And having an extended exit, subhanAllah. So when I first learned about the attributes, and I learned about tafashi, spreading. It's the attribute of sheen. So then, when someone is learning these rules of tajweed, then he wants to improve each thing. So I started trying to enhance my sheen. So the next time I recited on Hajj Ali after that, I think my sheen was like stereo sound. So I said, whatever I was reciting, I don't know, the sheen came out like as if came out at high fidelity. So he looked at me, but he didn't say anything. MashaAllah. MashaAllah. And having an extended exit, that's for the bod.
Okay.
Because the exit of bod is long, runs the whole length of the tongue.
Oh.
Side of the tongue. Hence, their total is 7. 7 plus 10 is 17. Ghunnah is also a feature specific to the meme and the noon. That's going to be an 18th attribute. But it's not counted here because it has its own exit. However, what makes the ghunnah different from the other attributes is that it has its own exit, which is the bridge of the nose, so it has its own category.
Right.
Features with opposites. The first of the 17 is hams, air expulsion, letting the air pass through. These letters were called mahmusa because of their weakness, the flowing of air upon pronouncing them, which is due to their weak reliance on their exits. Yani, the air escapes when pronouncing them because they don't have a strong grip on their own exits. There are 10 letters that have this attribute, all merged into the acronym. There's a better word than acronym. Mnemonic device. Mnemonic device is a better word. I'm not going to type it now. I think that's with a silent P, mnemonic.
Right.
فحثه شخص سكت. And yani, there's an approximation here with English letters. فحثه شخص سكت. So, fa, ha, tha, ha, sheen, kha, sad, sin, kaf, and ta. Some of these air expulsion letters are weaker than others in this regard. And that's also for other attributes. There will be a family of letters with some attributes. Those letters still have their own range of the strength of that attribute. The letters Sad and Kha are the strongest because they have itbaq. They have the itbaq, so it makes them strongest. And Kaf and Ta also have strength because they stop the sound. Like we say, Allahu Akbar, Akbar.
Okay. Yep.
I used to sometimes hear Hajj Ali call the adhan. And so he would say, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. So at the time, I thought he was putting shadda on the calf.
Okay.
So I asked him, are you putting shadda or why you put shadda on the calf? He said, there's no shadda here. He said, all I'm doing is saying the calf with its sukoon here, akbar, but the calf is a letter that can stop the air.
Right.
It does stop the air and the sound. Yeah, I mean, I say it stops the air. It can stop the air if you say ak. It's not complete though. To complete it, the air is going to come out. Ak. So it doesn't really stop the air if you say it completely. Excuse me. But it stops the sound though. It does stop the sound, which is what I really wanted to say. Say akbar. So that's what I was hearing. It was my ear not being accustomed to the Arabic yet that I thought there was a shadda or something there. The second is the letters of air suppression. Linguistically, jahr means to broadcast or to make obvious or to show outwardly, like the prayers when we recite aloud. As-salat al-Jazariyyah.
Okay.
So that's the meaning of jahr. Jahara bil-qawl. Jahara bil-qawl means he spoke openly. These letters were called majhura because of their strength. These letters, so instead of prevent, we're going to say obstruct. Obstruct the air from escaping when pronounced. Because these letters have a strong reliance on their exit. So their reliance on their exit, they have a tighter grip on their exit than the previous letters. And so they obstruct the air.
Right.
They are stronger than the air suppression. They are stronger than the air expulsion letters from this point of view, and some of them are stronger than others. They are 19 letters. Any letter that is not a Hams letter is a Jahr letter because they are opposites. And then here they are. Presented in this way just to give you a good picture. Yani, here are the letters in order. And what you really see here, all the letters are there, but some of them are white so that they disappear into the white with the white background of the page.
Nice.
So those are the Hams letters that are missing here. And then the rest are the Jahr letters. That's there. The third group is the strong letters. These letters were called strong letters because of how they prevent the sound from escaping. They stop the sound altogether when pronounced. And that is due to their perfect reliance on the exit when pronouncing them.
Right.
So then that's actually, even though Hams and Jahr are opposites of each other.
Yeah.
And Shiddah is not related to their opposition here. However, there is still progression here. Because we started with has weak reliance on the exit, therefore the air slips through.
Right.
Then we went to what has stronger reliance on the exit, and therefore the air is obstructed. Then we went to what has perfect reliance on its exit, and therefore stops the sound altogether.
Yeah.
There are 8 of them. The letters of Ajid Qatlim Bakat, Hamza, Jim, Dal, Qaf, Ta, Ba, Kaf, and Ta. Which you'll notice something here. Jim, Dal, Qaf, Ta, Ba. What are those? Qalqala letters.
Yes.
So then we know that Qalqala letters have an attribute of strength.
Okay.
The fourth is the trait called rikhwa, gentleness, which linguistically means softness, lean. They were called gentle letters because of how the sound runs and flows with them when they are pronounced. The sound here, not the air.
Okay.
And that is because of their weak reliance on the exit. Yes, there are 16 of them. So whatever is not one of the strong letters. These are the gentle letters here. And you can notice in this presentation of letters here, there's some little letters here.
Yeah.
They're small and they are gray. So that they could slip your eye almost. Okay. That's why they're like that. So to almost slip your eye. Why? Because we know that there is an attribute of the letters that has 2 opposites.
Yes.
The one is the strength. We just finished that.
Yeah.
Strength has 2 opposites. Softness and mediumness.
Yes, okay.
And we're talking about the softness now. So those are the bold letters here. But so that you recognize the relationship, the medium ones are just squeezed in there for you.
Right. MashaAllah.
And it says here, there is a middle between the strong letters and the gentle letters. The 5 letters, Lam, Noon, Ain, Mim, and Ra, whose mnemonic device is Lin Umar, which means be gentle, Umar. Yani be soft, Umar. Lin, Umar. All right. So then, yes, this is going to require any person's study, mashallah, so that he has good grip on all of these. The 5th are the letters of tongue elevation, isti'la. Kha, Sad, Dad, Ghain, Ta, Qaf, and Dha. All of those have that heaviness in them when you pronounce Fatha. Kha, Sa, Da, Gha, Ta, Qaf, Ra. Not Ra. I had Ra in my mind. Ta, Qa, Dha. And these 7 are merged into the mnemonic device Hussa Dagtin Qidh. And even just pronouncing that and any of these mnemonic devices is good for practice. These letters were called musta'liyah, elevated, because the tongue raises up to the palate upon pronouncing them. Yeah. Sad, Dad, Ta, Khussa, Dagtin Qidh. Therefore, these are the strongest letters. And letters of this quality have heaviness, tabkhim. And they are called mufakhama, heavy, or thick, or dense letters. So, if you recall, when we went over the definition of Tajweed, we said Tajweed is to give each letter its fundamental attributes and its secondary qualities too. So here's an example of what we're talking about there. Fundamental attribute here is the tongue elevation. And there comes along with that, there's another quality that follows that, which is the tafkhim, the heaviness in the letter. So they are called mufakhama, the heavy or thick or dense letters. They all appear in the 29th verse of Surah Al-Fatih. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا سيماهم في وجوههم من أثر السجود ذلك مثلهم في التوراة ومثلهم في الإنجيل كزرع أخرج شطأه فآزره فاستغلظ فاستوى على سوقه يعجب الزراع ليغيظ بهم الكفار وعد الله الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات منهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما.
MashaAllah.
So we see here all of those letters, and amongst what's pointed out here is the Ra, yellow, because Ra is like those letters, but not always. So just because Ra is sometimes like them, then that's why they were colored here. But you say Ra, Ra, you don't say it at. But Ra lightens out sometimes, and therefore would not be one of these. The 6th quality is the attribute called itbaq, sticking the tongue to the upper jaw. Its letters are 4 of the 6 elevated letters: Sad, Dad, Ta, and Dha. So amongst the things that one should pay attention to when studying this well is how the letters overlap in, or how the qualities overlap in some of these letters. Like right here. Now we see Sad, Dad, Ta, and Dha as letters of itbaq, and also letters of isti'la. So any letter of itbaq is a letter of isti'la, but not every letter of isti'la is a letter of itbaq. We just saw that too with the strong letters. All the letters of qalqalah are strong letters, but not all the strong letters are letters of qalqalah. Excuse me. Because these letters are so thick, there is no imala, which means they are not lightened. The imala is to lean the alif towards a ya. Like wadduha, for example. So you can't do it with a bod or any of these letters. These are the absolute strongest letters of sticking the tongue to the upper jaw. No, strongest letters of tongue elevation. These are the absolute strongest letters of tongue elevation. That's a mistake. Somebody brought that to my attention too. For they have more compression and pressure than, let's say, the other elevated letters. Than the other elevated letters. Dha is the weakest of these four letters, and Ta is the strongest. Yani, Ta is the strongest letter in Arabic. The seventh is the opposite of this subdivision of elevated letters. So this is subdivision. The letters of itbaq are subdivision of the letters of isti'la. And there's an opposite to this subdivision of elevated letters. The letters of mouth expansion. Those letters were called as such because the tongue does not stick to the upper jaw when pronouncing them. Yani, so any of the tongue elevation letters that are not letters of itbaq, then they have infitah. What are those? Let's take a look here. So, kha. Kha is not one of those itbaq letters. So then it has mouth expansion. Kha. Kha. And ghain also. So, gha. Gha. And qaf too. Qa. Qa. The eighth is tongue depression, istifal, keeping the tongue down, and it is contrary to the tongue elevation. And therefore, the rest of the letters have that attribute. There are 21 letters in this category. It's the rest of the letters. So we see missing here kha, sad, da, ta, dha, ghain, and qaf. Those are the missing ones. Everything else, your tongue stays down. Yes, and so these last four attributes, how did we arrange them? First, we started with the tongue elevation, because it has a subdivision under it. But it has its own opposite. This has its own opposite. This tongue elevation, it has its own opposite and it has a subdivision. So we mentioned its subdivision, which are the itbaq letters, the thickest of those. And this has its own opposite too. So we went right to its opposite immediately, which is the infitah.
Right.
And then after that, we went to the opposite of the isti'la.
Yeah.
So it's like we just did a range.
Mhm.
So two of them are polar opposites here.
Mhm.
Tongue elevation, tongue depression.
Mhm.
Tongue elevation has a subdivision.
Mhm.
And tongue expansion, tongue depression, keeping the tongue down. Uh, yeah, wait.
Mhm.
So it doesn't say here that mouth expansion is a subdivision of tongue depression. Doesn't say so.
Mhm.
But what we have here, two opposites on
Mhm.
the polar opposites on the furthest extremes.
Yeah.
And there's two more like as if squeezed inside of those.
Right.
So we have the tongue up and we have the tongue down.
Right.
Subdivision of the tongue up is the itbaq letters.
Right.
These itbaq letters, they have a direct opposite,
Mhm.
which is the mouth expansion.
Yep. Okay.
So in the middle is, we have four attributes here.
Uh-huh.
The closest two are the mouth expansion and the itbaq.
Yep.
And outside of the mouth expansion is, outside of the itbaq is the tongue elevation. And
Mhm.
outside of the mouth expansion is the tongue depression.
Mhm. Okay.
They were called low letters because the tongue goes away from the upper jaw upon pronouncing them.
Uh-huh.
Letters of this quality have lightness, tarqiq. So that's a secondary quality.
Okay.
And they are called muraqqaqah.
Oh.
So ra is counted here. Oh,
Ah, yes. I know there.
my screen just went blank on me. Can you see me?
I can still see everything. Yeah.
Ah, there it is. I don't know what that was all about. Yeah, letters of this quality have lightness, and the ra is here
Mm.
in this category of istifal
Right.
and infitah, mouth expansion and tongue depression,
Yep.
but still has tafkhim though. So you say ra,
Oh. Mhm.
unless it's light. So we're going to see. We have a chapter for ra.
Right.
One must be aware of making. One must beware of making the alif after the letters of tongue depression heavy.
Okay.
If it falls after a letter of tongue elevation, it follows that letter in its heaviness, because it
Mhm.
is bound to the fetha of whatever letter is before it. Because if
Okay.
there were no fetha, there would not be an alif. And
Right.
if the alif existed, then there is a fetha. Therefore, the alif must be light with the depressed letter, and it must be heavy with the heavy letter. Or what is like a heavy letter, which is the ra. One should also avoid making the hamza heavy no matter what letter is in its vicinity.
Mhm.
Yeah, so what we're saying is, when the letter is a tongue elevation letter, it's going to be heavy. So
Yep.
if there's an alif after it, the alif must follow it in its heaviness. So you're
Okay.
going to say kha, gha, sa, da, ta. And if the alif comes after a tongue depression letter, then the alif must be light because it needs to follow that letter in its likeness.
Okay.
You're gonna say ba, ta, tha,
Uh-huh.
and you're not gonna say ba or like that, or da, or shaw, or likes of that. Ha. Maybe this one someone might say ha. Ha.
Okay.
Or ayn. Maybe someone makes ayn too heavy. Oh, ayn. Ayn is
Mm.
light. Ayn. Ayn.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The ninth attribute is being on the edge of the exit. Al-dhalq. They are named as such because some of them come from the edge of the tongue, and some of them come from the edge of the lip. Its 6 letters are fa, ra, mim, noon, lam, and ba. They form the mnemonic device farra min lub. Farra min lub. Farra min lub, this means he fled from an intellectual.
Okay.
MashaAllah. The lub is the aql, mind.
Okay.
Farra, he ran away.
Okay. Inshallah.
So the fat is on the edge of the lip from the here. This is what I was looking for. Hakadha. From the let me grab my book real quick and make sure we have documented here. Hold on.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be inside because even in the video you did, you corrected
Say again,
the same
please.
thing. I said it is supposed to be inside because even the video that you did, you corrected this mistake.
Yeah.
That it should be inner side. MashaAllah.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to see though. How did that happen? Give me 1 second. Maybe I just imagined the word or something.
That's fine, Sheikh.
So now we're looking at al-dhalq.
No.
So al-idlaq lughatan hiddatul lisan ay talaqatuhu. So linguistically, al-dhalq, which is also called idlaq, is the edge of the tongue. And technically, suratu nutqi bil harfi li khurujihi min taraf al-lisan. Technically, the idlaq, this attribute is the swiftness of the letters pronunciation. The swiftness of the letters pronunciation due to being on the edge of the exit. Like the lam and the ra and the noon. Okay. It doesn't say anything here in this book about inside or outside. I'll check my other document there. Okay, so what do we have here? So the fat is on the edge of the lip. Yeah, this here, outside, all this, I'm just going to remove it for now.
Okay, inshallah.
The fat is on the edge of the lip. Yes, correct. The ra is on the edge of the tongue. Ra, ra, ra. And the edge here does not mean the tip. The edge here does not mean the tip. Yani, because tip means the very, very, very tips. That's not what's intended there. The edge means the that surface. Okay. That surface there, which you cannot see me very well here. No. That surface, which is just or la 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 na na ra ra f b m. Right. That's all that's intended there. Yani, how easily and swiftly that letter just comes out there. Yeah. Fa, mim, and ba are sisters in exit from the lips, and ra, noon, and lam are sisters from the edge of the tongue. Okay. The 10th category of letters, the 10th category is the letters of samt, which linguistically means prevention. These letters are named as such because no word built from more than 3 letters would have these letters exclusively. No word that is built from more than 3 letters, so that means 4 letters or more,
Right.
No word built from 4 letters or more would have these letters exclusively.
Okay.
Every word that has 4 letters or 5 letters, if it has these letters and they are other than the letters on the edge, so other than the dhalq letters,
Right.
it would also have letters of dhalq in them,
Okay.
or else it would not be originally an Arabic word. So here we have all these letters here. What's missing? Ba, ra, fa, ayn, ghain, fa, lam, mim, noon. That's it.
Yes.
Just the letters of dhalq are missing from here.
Right.
For this reason, the word asjad, which is a name of gold, is considered to be from another language, since it has more than 3 letters and does not have any of the letters of dhalq.
Okay.
So I didn't used to understand this attribute here. I didn't conceive what's the meaning here. We're talking about Tajweed, and I didn't it made me feel like what does this have to do with reciting anything? It didn't seem relevant to me. But I understood later that it's still an attribute of the letters, though. This is what they want to do. They basically sifted through these letters and sifted through the language, because these scholars here who did this work in Tajweed that we are benefiting from, they were also, they weren't merely Tajweed scholars, they were linguists and fuqaha, and they had so much knowledge.
Yeah.
So they just like I like to say, they break everything down to the finest particles. So in their doing their work of sifting through everything and categorizing everything, they said, here's another thing too. So one of the attributes of the letters is being Arabic or foreign. So this is what this is the point of this this breakdown here. Being Arabic or foreign. Why it says Arabic or foreign? Because we're still talking about attributes that have opposites. So being on the edge of the exit, those are the letters of Farra Mirlub. So they have this name because they come from the edge of the tongue. Some of them, they come from the edge of the tongue, and some from the edge of the lip.
Yep.
Okay. The letters of samt, that's the opposite. So samt is the silence or speechlessness. That's right. That's the meaning of samt in Arabic. That's what came in some of the hadiths. Tulu samt, lengthy silence.
Okay.
Letters of samt are not the letters on the edge. The scholars of Tajweed said that this word samt means prevention. They are named as such because no Arabic word built from more than 3 letters would have these letters exclusively. So in terms of the content of this paragraph here, there's nothing new, but this little title here helped me out. MashaAllah, reminded me of what I was going for there. And also some of what's written here. Okay. Samt is silence or speechlessness. That's true. And this definition here, I looked into some of the dictionaries, so I cited them here. Al-Maqayis, Al-Misbah al-Munir, and Al-Qamus al-Muhit, those 3 dictionaries that explain the meaning of samt.
Right.
As for what's in these Tajweed books, they said the meaning of samt is mana, prevention. Wasn't clear for me, so I looked into dictionaries, and then they said something that was clearer. So now, inshallah ta'ala, the issue is clear, or more clear, and then with more study, maybe there's more to uncover there.
Inshallah.
Now for the features without opposites. Then there are traits of the letters that have no opposites.
Right.
The characteristics of the letters that have no opposites are the 11th, which is whistling, as-safir, which is the attribute of sin, zay, and sad. These letters are named as such because the sound that comes out, I think it's supposed to say, because of the sound that comes out, similar to the whistle of a ta'ir, flying creature. Yes, of. Because of the sound that comes out, similar to the whistle of a ta'ir, a flying creature, such as a bird, bat, or bee.
Right.
Yani, that's the meaning of ta'ir, a flying creature, like a bird, bat, or a bee. The strongest of those letters is Sad, because of how the tongue elevates and then adheres to the upper jaw. After that in strength comes Zay, because of its air obstruction.
Yes. Okay.
The weakest is the Sin, because of its air expulsion. And also its tongue, the tongue is down.
Okay.
The 12th is the Qalqalah, which might literally translate as commotion. Yani Qalqalah is ittirab. So commotion, collision, something of this effect. And it is also called laqlaqah by reversing the lam in the qaf.
Right.
It is a sound that comes after any of the following 5 letters when there's a sukoon on them. Qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. They form the mnemonic device qutbu jad. The qalqala resembles a haraka, but it is not a full-fledged, pure haraka. It's, as they say, shibh haraka. It's the semblance of a haraka.
Right.
The reliable saying is that it inclines towards a kasra in the ba, jim, and dal, not a fatha.
Right.
And towards a dhamma in the qaf and the ta. So for ba, you'd say rabb, closer towards the kasra. Jim, you say buruj. Dal, you say ahad.
Ahad. Okay.
Yeah, ba is like tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab.
Okay. So it's never a fatha.
Say again, please.
It's never a fatha, then it's either kasra or dhamma, depending on the letter.
Yes. If it's qaf or ta, leans towards dhamma. So you say falaq bi rabbil falaq. Or wallahu min waraihim muhit.
Okay, yes.
And there's another saying that for bat, jim, and dal, the qalqala can lean towards fatha.
Okay.
I heard one brother reciting like that in my life. And not that I have vast hearing of that, of Quran, but I heard one time only. He was saying, قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدَ Allahu Samad. Like this, mashallah.
Right.
When stopping on these letters, it is more obvious. When stopping on these letters, the qalqala is more obvious than when continuing.
Right.
So it is the greater qalqala. When stopping, it's the greater qalqala. And in the middle of the pronunciation, it is the lesser qalqala. يعني القلقلة الكبرى والقلقلة الصغرى. Major and minor. Or greater and lesser. This one also, when I first learned this, I really didn't conceive it because I never noticed a difference in level between the qalqalas. Now I'm wondering, is the plural of qalqala qalaqil? Qalaqil. I never noticed the difference. But again, this is one of those things that as you learn Tajweed rules, then you're going to try to do these things. So in the middle, you're going to have a qalqala, and at the end, you're going to have a greater qalqala. You're going to strive for perfection. There's levels of perfection. That's why Ubay ibn Ka'b was the greatest reciter of the Sahaba.
MashaAllah.
Along with that, those Sahaba who are perfect reciters. He's the best one. So there's levels of perfection. So, for example, in Surah Sad, Ni'mal Abid, Ni'mal Abid. So you have Ba and Dal. Bat with Sukoon. And if you stop on the Dal is going to have Sukoon. So the Dal Sukoon should then be greater than the Ba Sukoon here.
Okay.
By the rule. So maybe some reciters, this is going to be the same for them. And inshallah, if someone's really is expert reciter, then he's going to have a variance between those two. Ni'mal Abid.
Okay, yes.
Also, let the reciter be mindful not to reinforce the qalqala with a hamzah.
Yes.
Yeah. So then he doesn't say Qul huwa Allahu ahad, and then there's a hamzah there. Or Ni'mal abid, abid, and there's a hamzah in there behind the qalqala. So this must be avoided.
No.
The 13th is flicking. Inhiraf. For the tongue to raise up, here, just cutting off the air, making the sound go around the tongue. When pronouncing the lam and the ra, that part we're going to keep that highlight.
Yeah.
Here. For the tongue to raise up, yeah, that's true. These two letters were called diverting letters because they divert or go off from their exit. Because these two letters, because they divert or go off from their exit to the front of the tongue. That is translated accurately. I just read it when we read now.
Right.
Needs to be explained for someone though. And as for this thing about the air going around, we'll check on that, inshallah. Lam. This is what the meaning is here. Lam. Ra. It's the way the tongue goes. Lam. Ra. That's the inhiraf. Good. Alhamdulillah. Barakallahu feekum. This is a great review.
Alhamdulillah.
Al-inhiraf. Lughatan al-mayl. Linguistically means leaning. واصطلاحا ميل الحرف بعد خروجه عن مخرجه إلى طرف اللسان. And technically, it is the tongue's leaning. Not the tongue, sorry. It is the letter leaning after coming out from its exit to the edge of the tongue. This one. وحرفاه اللام والراء فاللام إلى ناحية طرف اللسان والراء إلى ظهره والراء أقوى من اللام لتكرارها وهي صفة قوة. Looks like a lot of information is not in here. Gonna have to do an overhaul here, inshallah ta'ala. Okay. This one, let's review this one. Let's talk to Hajj Ali about this, inshallah.
Inshallah.
The 14th is rolling, takrir, or repetition, repeating. It is the attribute of the ra exclusively. Rolling the ra is not proper pronunciation. Rather, the tongue should rise up for it only once. Rolling the ra is not proper pronunciation. Yeah, meaning more than once. Yani the rolling is an attribute of the ra. It's part of the ra. But basically the ra needs to be controlled. If you don't control it, it's gonna flicker. However, the nature of the ra makes it prone to rolling or flickering. So rolling the ra or flicking the ra is not proper pronunciation. Rather, the tongue should rise up for it only once.
Mhm.
However, the nature of the ra makes it prone to rolling or flickering. I like this word.
Yeah.
Thus, it is an attribute of the ra, but one should avoid it.
Mhm.
Yani, except the one flicker that is the ra itself.
Mhm.
You lift your tongue, ra,
Raw.
ra.
Raw.
That's fine. Not ra. That's
Mhm.
too many.
No.
This repetition is most obvious when ra has a shadda.
Mhm.
Yes. If the reciter pronounces with the roll, then when that ra has a shadda, he has pronounced numerous ra's, meaning 3 or 4. And if he pronounces the roll of the ra when the ra has no shadda, then he will have pronounced 2 ra's.
Mhm.
Yani, if there's no shadda on the ra,
Uh-huh.
um, it really, for me, it's not easy to do, I think, because my tongue is used to doing it properly, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
So I'm just trying to think of a word. Raki'a, for example, here's a word right in front of me. Raki'a. So,
Uh-huh.
any proper ways, ra, one time. Raki'a.
Oh,
What's
okay.
being said here is if you do let it flicker while it lacks a shadda, then you're going to produce 2 ra's. So it sounds like it would be, if one were to say that, raki'a,
Okay.
and maybe that
Okay.
was 3 even.
Okay.
Raki'a. And if it has shadda, it's going to have even more, like here, kharra, kharra. So if one lets it flicker, it's going to be like kharra, kharra, kharra. That's too many.
Uh-huh.
Practice this verse. فاستغفر ربه وخر راكعا فاستغفر ربه وخر راكعا. Scholars of recitation have documented what we have just said about the ra, like
Mhm.
Makki ibn Abi Talib, Al-Qaysi, and others.
Mhm.
The 15th attribute out of 17 is spreading, tafashi. There was another word that came to me the other night. Maybe it'll come back to me. Which is the attribute of the sheen. Because the sheen spreads upon pronouncing it from the middle of the tongue until reaching the exit of the va. Yes. That's the case. That's what made that sound of sheen so gave it some fidelity when I learned this. Because if you don't know this detail like this, then maybe you're just going to say sheen, sheen.
Shin.
Okay. If you want to try to do what's here, then you're going to make the sound spread.
Mhm.
Sheen, sheen.
Shin. Okay. Yeah.
Some counted 8 spreading letters. Fa, ra. This one I don't see how though, personally. Inshallah, will be explained to me. So I don't know how that's a spreading letter. Ra, ra.
No.
Sheen, sheen. Sod, bod,
Top.
bod. Fa, and meme. So
Mhm.
yeah, this is mere documentation.
Mhm.
I don't know how to explain those or justify those if they're justifiable.
Shin. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yani that seems that is conceivable for me why would be regarded as spreading letter. Yani I can see that comparable to sheen. Also, I
Seeing
can
this.
see seen comparable to sheen. Even sod and fat, I can see how they have
Top.
some semblance of something there. But
No.
the other one's not so clear for me.
No. See.
The 16th is. You have the word is in your book twice?
Just one, Sheikh.
Okay. The 16th is having an extended exit point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's take the word point off. Having an extended exit, I feel like the word point means it's so isolated, which is the contrary to the point here.
Yeah.
Extended exit means the exit of the dot is not one spot, one dot. The exit of the dot is a line. This means that the exit of that letter covers more than a single spot on the tongue. It is an entire line. The entire side of the tongue until reaching the edge of the exit, until reaching the exit of the lam. Dot stops where lam starts. This is the result of its strength, which is derived from its air suppression, yani, let's say obstruction, which is derived from its air obstruction, tongue elevation, and the tongue's adherence to the roof of the mouth. Yeah. So dot has all these qualities here. It obstructs the air. That makes it strong. The tongue raises. That makes it strong. The roof of the mouth becomes like a cover or a lid, a ceiling for the tongue. That makes it strong. Ba. And the fact that its exit is an entire line. So dot is a healthy letter, yani, a hefty letter. It's a mouthful. The 17th is the attribute of the wow and the ya. The 17th attribute is the attribute of the wow and the ya. Softness, lean. More specifically, the two soft letters are the ya sakina and the wow sakina, both preceded by a fatha. So that's very specific. Because ya and wow have other states, not just this, having a sukoon being preceded by fatha. So when they are under these specific circumstances, then we're going to call them, each one of them, harf lean, harf lean. The meaning of their being soft is that there is an extension because of their softness. One should not say them hard and fast. Rather, soft and easy without strength. Yani, for example, لإيلاف قريش إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف. What someone might do, he might say Quraysh, snatches it, Quraysh. He might say إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف. That's too hard now. These letters are soft. وَالصَّيْفِ. Their softness results in an extension. And it's going to be a mad tabiri, a natural extension. And so when you say صَيْف, or for example, قول, saying قول is like saying يقول in terms of length. يقول, قول, same length here. So the first one, yaqul, that's harf med for sure. But we don't call it harf lean here. When you say yaqul, the other one, qaul, this one we're gonna call it harf lean, soft letter. And its softness gives it an extension. The duration of its extension is at least 2 counts, yani at least a natural extension. At least means you can go beyond. You could say لِإِيلَافِ قُرَيْشٍ إِيلَافِهِمْ رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ وَالصَّيْفِ. The synopsis is that a letter may have as many as 7 features at once, but not less than 5, since 10 attributes have opposites. So Hamza is strong. Strong means stops the sound. Low letter means the tongue is low.
Mhm.
Of air obstruction
Mhm.
and mouth expansion. Ah.
Uh-huh.
And sumt.
Mhm.
Yani it's one of those letters that if there were three more of this kind in one
Yeah.
word with not any of the other ones, then it's not an Arabic word originally.
Right.
That is also strong, stops the air. Sorry, I keep
Mhm.
saying that. Stops the sound.
Uh-huh.
Strong letter, harful shiddah stops the sound.
Uh-huh.
Harful jahr, the jahr letter obstructs the air.
Yep.
The shadid letter stops the sound.
Mhm.
It's a low letter, bat, so the tongue is down. Yani bat doesn't even come from the tongue. Mouth expansion,
Mhm.
but it's a letter of dhalq, yani on the edge of the exit. Bat.
Yeah.
Basically just bat slips off of the exit there. Not
Mhm.
sumt. And add the qalqala.
Mhm.
Uh, watab.
Uh-huh.
Ta is also strong. Stops the sound. Low letter, the tongue is down.
Mhm.
But of air expulsion, yani hems,
Uh-huh.
that uh, not air suppression and mouth expansion, that
Yeah.
and sumt, that is gentle. Gentle means does not stop the sound.
Uh-huh.
Does not stop the sound. Strong has, remember, two opposites:
Right.
gentle and medium.
Uh-huh.
Strong, gentle, and medium. This is in reference to uh, how much the letter can stop the sound.
Right.
So if the letter can stop the sound altogether, then it's strong. So
Right.
you say what tab, what tab, the sound stopped. What tab,
Uh-huh.
sound stopped.
That's strong.
Or Rabbi, sound stops. Um, uh, that's a strong letter. Weak letter, the sound's not going to stop. Trying to think of a that with a shadda, but there's not one coming to me. So that is a gentle low letter of air expulsion. So gentle means doesn't stop the sound.
Uh-huh.
The medium letter also does not stop the sound, but it's going to be a little bit harder than a gentle letter.
Uh-huh.
So the gentle letter does not stop the sound. Medium letter also does not stop the sound, but is stronger, yani, harder than a gentle letter. And the strong letter stops the sound.
Mhm.
It's a low letter, that, so meaning the tongue is down. Air expulsion releases the air. Mouth expansion, the mouth is not closed in on the tongue.
Uh-huh.
And sumt.
Mhm.
And it is said to be a spreading letter like sheen.
Okay.
So without counting spreading, we're going to say 5 attributes for that.
No. Okay.
Practice. ثالث ثلاثة
ثلاثة.
ثالث ثلاثة لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاثة.
Uh-huh.
Blasphemed have those who said that Allah is the third of three. Jim is a strong low letter of air suppression. Strong, yani stops the sound.
Uh-huh.
Low letter, the tongue is down. Air obstruction. Mouth expansion, yani the mouth is not closing in on the tongue. Qalqalah and sumt. Practice. Thajjaja. Ma'an thajjaja. And remind any person that the letter Jim's from the middle of the tongue.
Uh-huh.
Or the one who's going to feel inclined to bring it from the front of his tongue like a dal. Not thajjaja from the front of the tongue. Thajjaja from the middle of the tongue. some of those very good reciters, and also if their sound recording is very clean too, you can hear that Jim from the middle of the tongue.
Yeah.
It's not from the front of the tongue, it's from the middle.
Uh-huh.
Ha is a gentle low letter. Gentle then means not stopping the sound.
Yep.
Low, the tongue is down. Air expulsion releases the air. Mouth expansion, the mouth does not close in on the tongue. And sumt. Practice this ayah. بمزحزحه
Uh-huh.
بمزحزحه. Two has there. بمزحزحه. Kha is a gentle low letter of air expulsion. So gentle means does not stop the sound. Low, the tongue is down. Air expulsion releases the air. Mouth expansion, the mouth is not closed in on the tongue. And sumt.
No.
Dal is strong, stops the sound. Yawmiddin, Yawmiddin, stop the sound there.
Right.
Low letter, the tongue is down. Air suppression or obstruction. Dal. Mouth expansion, the mouth is not closing in on the tongue. And qalqala and sumt.
Uh-huh.
Val is a gentle low letter of air suppression. Gentle means does not stop the sound. Low, the tongue is down, but air obstruction, it blocks the air.
Uh-huh.
So, blocking the air is a strong attribute, while being gentle is a weak attribute. So, yani Dhal then, with the mix of these attributes, has its own strength. Yani, the different attributes themselves have levels of strength.
Yeah.
So, if a letter has all the strong attributes, it's going to be so strong. Which is the case of letter Ta, as we will see. We get the Ta has everything that is the strongest of attributes. So it just came out as so thick and strong.
No.
So Thal is gentle, it's not stopping the sound. The tongue is down, it obstructs the air, the mouth is expanded, not closed in on the tongue, and it's a letter of sumt. Ra is medium, so also does not stop the sound. But it's not as soft as other letters are that don't stop the sound.
Right.
And it's not as strong as those letters that do stop the sound. A low letter, the tongue is down. Ra, 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 ra. Air suppression, yani obstructs the air. Obstructs. Mouth expansion, the tongue is not closed in on the mouth is not closed in on the tongue. Flicking, I got it there. MashaAllah. Or flickering and rolling, same thing. Flicking and rolling. How many things I have here? 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4,
7.
5. Flicking, rolling, 6, and Dhalk is 7. What's this difference between flicking and... Oh, I see. You know what that flicking is? That's for Dhalk. That's being on the edge of the exit. Ra, lam. It's like flicking it. Fa, lam, ba. There we go there.
MashaAllah.
Okay. And so what is that? What is the flicking? Inhiraf. That's what's meant there. That's the flicking. Okay. Zai is a gentle air-suppressing low letter of mouth expansion, whistling, and sumt. Gentle means does not stop the sound. Zujaja, as zujaja, still a sound there. Air suppression, yani obstruction. A low letter, the tongue is down. Of mouth expansion, the mouth is not closed in on the tongue. Whistling, which is a buzz in this case, and sumt. Seen is gentle, does not stop the sound. Low letter, the tongue is down. Air expulsion, releases air. Mouth expansion, the mouth is not closed in on the tongue. Whistling and sumt, and it is said to be a spreading letter. Practice Surah An-Nas.
Yeah. Inshallah.
Sheen is a gentle low letter of air expulsion, mouth expansion, spreading, and sumt. So sheen is gentle, does not stop the sound. Washamsi, low letter, the tongue is down. Air expulsion releases the air. Li'ilafi Quraysh. Mouth expansion, the mouth is not closed in on the tongue. Spreading, that is for the sound to go from the middle of the tongue to the spot of the dha. And sumt. Sod. Sod is a gentle, elevated letter of air expulsion. Adherence to the upper jaw, whistling, and sumt. And is said to be a spreading letter. So sod is gentle, yani does not stop the sound.
Yeah.
Elevated, so the tongue rises up, sod. Air expulsion releases the air. وَلَا تَحِينَ مَنَاصٍ. Adherence to the upper jaw, yes, yani that's that leveling of the roof of the mouth with the tongue that produces the full sound of that letter. Whistling, sod, and sumt, and it is said to be a spreading letter. Practice. فَقُصُصِ الْقَصَصِ. فَقُصُصِ الْقَصَصِ. Dad is a gentle, elevated letter of air suppression, adherence to the upper jaw, having an extended exit, and sumt, and is said to be a spreading letter. Gentle then does not stop the sound. Wa'al dallin. So there's still a sound there. Wa'al dallin. Elevated because tongue's going up. Al-da. Air suppression, yani, is obstructing the air. Adherence to the upper jaw, that gives it its thickness or its fullness. Having an extended exit that contributes also to its fullness and its thickness. And sumt. Ba is a strong, elevated letter of air suppression, adherence to the upper jaw, qalqala, and sumt. So it has all the strongest qualities. Strong means stops the sound altogether. وَالسَّمَاءِ وَالطَّارِقِ. وَالطَّارِقِ stops the sound. Elevated letter, your tongue's going up. وَالطَّارِقِ. Air suppression, yani obstruction. That's a strong attribute. Adherence to the upper jaw, that's giving it its fullness. Ta. And qalqala, wato, or yani muhit, and sumt. So having all these strong, yani shidda, isti'la, jahr, and itbaq. So it has strength, shidda, elevation, isti'la, has jahr, itbaq, and qalqala. So khalas, this is the mightiest one here.
MashaAllah.
17. Dha is a gentle, elevated letter of air suppression, adherence to the upper jaw, and sumt. So dha, gentle, does not stop the sound. Al-Zalimun. Al-Zalimun. Inni kuntu min al-Zalimin. Elevated letter, tongue rises up. Air obstruction, adherence to the upper jaw, which is the itbaq,
Okay.
and samt. Ayn is a medium low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, and samt. Ayn's a medium letter, so it's not stopping the sound, but it's not as soft as some other letters. It's a low letter. The tongue is down. It suppresses the air, and the mouth is away from the tongue. Mouth expansion. Ayn and samt. Yes. I was telling you, some people, they have like their ayn is hard. It's almost like a hamza. Ayn, ayn, ayn. So you want to help them to open that, soften that ayn there. Ayn is medium letter. Practice this ayah. وهو الذي يقبل التوبة عن عباده ويعفو عن السيئات ويعلم ما تفعلون. وهو الذي يقبل التوبة عن عباده ويعفو عن السيئات ويعلم ما تفعلون. Ghain is a gentle, elevated letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, and samt. So ghain, gentle, then does not stop the sound.
Right.
Air, and elevated letter, the tongue goes up, yes. Gha, that's why it has, since it's elevated letter, that's why it has tafkhim, you say gha, not gha. Elevated letter of air suppression or obstruction, mouth expansion, and samt.
Right.
Fa is a gentle letter, doesn't stop the sound. Low letter, tongue is down, of air expulsion, releases air. Mouth expansion, the mouth is away from the tongue, the inner mouth. And velq, being on the edge of the exit.
Yep.
And it is said to be a spreading letter.
Yep.
Qaf is a strong, so stops the sound. Elevated letter, tongue is up, therefore has tafkhim, qa. Air obstruction, mouth expansion, qalqala, and samt. Kaf is also strong, stops the sound. Low letter, the tongue is down. Air expulsion releases air. Mouth expansion and samt. Practice this ayah. كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. That's the dua of Musa in Surah Taha, when he got the revelation and then he made dua, Rabbi shrah li sadri, etc. And he made dua for his brother to be his assistant, and all of this came in it too. كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. And in some recitations, the kaf is merged here. So you would recite كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. And then you can hear how it stops the sound altogether because it's a strong letter. And then Allah says, قَالَ قَدْ أُوتِيتَ سُؤْلَكَ يَا مُوسَى. O Moses, you have been given your request.
MashaAllah.
Lam is a medium low letter of air suppression, so it does not stop the sound, but it's not too hard. Yes. And low letter, the tongue is down, obstructs the air, and has mouth expansion, and here we're going to say flicking with the ra. Lam, lam, lam. And the Allah says, وَلَا تَقُولُوا لِمَنْ أَلْقَى إِلَيْكُمُ السَّلَامَ لَسْتَ مُؤْمِنًا. And he says, وَقَالَ الَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ لَوْلَا يُكَلِّمُنَا اللَّهُ. Meme is medium, not stopping the sound, but not very hard. Does not stop the sound, but not too soft. It's a low letter. The tongue is down. It obstructs the air. It has mouth expansion. Humming, that means ghunna. Humming here means ghunna. And dhal. And it is said to be a spreading letter. Practice the miraculous 8 successive memes in the 48th verse of Surah Hud. Yani, there's no human speech. No one has said anything that has 8 memes in a row.
MashaAllah.
This ayah. وَعَلَى أُمَمٍ مِّمَّن مَّعَكَ وَعَلَى أُمَمٍ مِّمَّن مَّعَكَ.
MashaAllah.
And we passed letter Qaf already. Qaf.
No.
There's some ayahs in the Quran. They're called al-Qafat.
Al-Qafat.
Yeah, each one of those, I forgot how many there are. There's 10 Qafs in those ayahs. Each one of those.
In a single verse, subhanAllah.
SubhanAllah, it's just amazing how the scholars, Yani, they didn't leave any stone unturned. They even looked at how are the letters of the Quran had they been backwards. Yani, they did everything. MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
Meme is a medium low letter of air obstruction. We just did that. Noon is a medium low letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, humming, and dhalq. Okay? Practice the 12th ayah of Surah Yasin. Inna nahnu nuhyi. Inna nahnu nuhyi. Ha is a gentle low letter of air expulsion, mouth expansion, and samt.
Sheikh, sorry, just to pause you there. So in the book here, it completes the ayah. Is there a reason why in that copy it stops? I know.
نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم.
Yeah, so in the book here, it goes up to Al-Mawta. Is there any particular reason or just?
Maybe they saw to do so.
Okay.
So they put it. Or it could be that it's slipped in when they were copying and pasting.
Okay, perfect.
Ha is a gentle low letter of air expulsion, mouth expansion, and samt. Yeah. And practice this 23rd ayah of Surah Al-Jazariyyah. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ. Ha is going to take your breath out, though. أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ وَأَضَلَّهُ اللَّهُ عَلَى عِلْمٍ وختم على سمعه وقلبه وجعل على بصره غشاوة فمن يهديه من بعد الله. I couldn't get it in one breath. MashaAllah.
MashaAllah.
Wow is gentle, not stopping the sound. Low, tongue is down. Extension letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, softness, and samt. Here's an ayah. لَوَّوْا رُؤُوسَهُمْ لَوَّوْا رُؤُوسَهُمْ. This has in it the wow, which is for med, رُؤُوسَهُمْ. And it has in it the wow that is harf lean because it has sukoon preceded by fatha.
Yes.
And has another wow also. Yeah is a gentle low extension letter of air suppression, mouth expansion, softness, and samt. Practice this ayah. Ya'tiya yawm. Ya'tiya yawm. Ya is coming from the middle of the tongue. Yeah, like Jeen. Ya'tiya yawm. Ya'tiya yawm. Benefit. Arabic letters also have another feature. Each has a numeric value. Their values follow their original arrangement, that one we talked about in the beginning.
MashaAllah.
The abjad sequence. It is as follows. أبجد هوز حطي كلم سعفص قرشت ثخذ ضضغ. Here, kalimun with kasra on the lam and dhamma on the meme. I learned that when I learned this abjad sequence, we learned that it's kalimun and kalaman. And from everyone that I see who brings this, they all say kalaman. So for that reason, I like to put kalimun, because I don't see anyone who puts it.
Yeah.
The abjad sequence has disappeared from most dictionaries, but is often used to list and arrange items. The first 9 are ones, yani 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Right.
The second 9 are tens, yani 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90.
Right.
The third 9 are hundreds, so from 100 to 900, and the last represents 1,000.
Right.
This issue will come back towards the end of the booklet with the permission of Allah.
Inshallah.
Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. All right. Any question?
Yeah, I had one. So when we said the letter Jim, we said, if I just go back, we said it's a, Bismillah, get the wording right. Mouth expansion, right?
Yes.
So with the fatha, I would understand, but with the kasra, like edge, like your mouth is saying edge, like it's saying compressed. Or is that after you're in the qalqala, then it's edge, like the expansion
Edgy.
happens then?
Edgy. The expansion is with it. Yani,
Okay.
there is no itbaq.
No.
And there's no isti'la. So since there's no itbaq or isti'la, it's just gonna have the mouth expansion and the tongue being down.
Okay, makes sense.
So if it had the isti'la, it would have tafkhim. Then we'd be saying draw.
Okay, yes,
like qa, da. And if it had itbaq, then it's gonna be like those thick 4.
Okay.
Since it lacks both of those, it lacks the itbaq and the isti'la, then it's just going to be mouth expansion letter, because those are opposites.
Right. No,
when one was missing, the other was present.
MashaAllah. Okay, perfect. MashaAllah, makes sense.
Alhamdulillah.
Barakallah feek, Sheikh. That was a...
Ameen wa feek, ya Sayyid. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.